Hi class, me back again, Mr. Diaz again. We're gonna finalize section 4.4, and this will be part 3. And I'm actually gonna combine it with 4.5. There isn't a whole lot more in 4.5 that we need to discuss, but there are some slight differences. So if you take a look at problem number 3 from your worksheet, from number 3 right there, it says find the area of the rectangle with the sides of 7x minus 4 and 5x plus 3. Alright, so I pre-draw a rectangle right here. You don't really have to do this, but it helps visually. So we got to figure out the area of this rectangle, but in this case, instead of giving us numbers, they gave us polynomials. Well, it's the same equation that we're used to. Remember, the area of a rectangle is the length times the width. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter which one's the length or the width here, as long as you multiply those two. So let's pretend that here the length is going to be 7x minus 4, and the width will be 5x plus 3. Well, essentially we're going to do the same thing as what we're doing right now. We're going to go ahead and start multiplying that out. So we're going to go ahead and multiply by distributing first the 7x times 5x and then times the 3. So this a is just arbitrary. It doesn't really matter here. So here we're going to go ahead and multiply it. 7x times 5x is 35x squared. 7x times 3 is 21x. So that takes care of the 7x. We're going to do the same thing with the negative 4. Negative 4 times 5x is negative 20x. And then negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Now notice that I'm drawing arrows when I multiply. That is just a habit that you want to get used to. It makes it easier to visualize where you're multiplying from. But the same thing again, in this case, both of these we could go ahead and collect. So we're going to go ahead and collect like terms. So this will be now 35x squared. And you're going to subtract 21x minus 20x, which will give you positive 1x, or just x. Bring down the minus 12, and that would be your answer right there. So that concludes 4.4 as far as what we need to do there. 4.5 really is not a whole lot different. They do say that there are special cases. Do not, and I emphasize this, do not learn it the way my math lab has it as far as the explanation. It really confuses more people than it helps. So I would suggest for you to do the same thing that we've been doing so far. Now the reason why they're special cases is because they want you to draw the distinction between what we had before and what we're going to do in this section. The only difference here is that now if you take a look, these two look alike, but one's positive, one's negative, and they're teaching you a shortcut. That's the quote-unquote special cases there. I would ignore that explanation from my math lab. Once again, ignore it. Do not put attention to it. So just do it the same way that we've been doing it so far. We're going to go ahead and distribute the x. So x times x is x squared. We're going to distribute the negative 7 with x times negative 7, which is negative 7x. So that takes care of the x. And we're going to do the same thing with the 7. We distribute the 7 here. 7 times x, 7x. And 7 times negative 7 is negative 49. Once again, draw arrows when you're doing this so we can keep track of this. Now you're going to notice something different about these. When we collect like terms, if you take a look at this particular example, what's going to happen? The two middle terms are going to cancel each other out because they're opposites of each other. So your answer is going to look a bit different than what we're used to. We're going to have x squared, and we're only going to have the minus 49 left. So the x squared minus 49 will be your answer. In other words, you're not going to end up with a middle term like we normally do. That's the only difference, essentially. But the tactic, the way we multiply them, is the same. So do not listen to the explanation. The explanation runs through too many steps to get to the point. Remember, we want to be as efficient as possible on these. So let's take a look at the next one. Next one is 3x minus 5 times 3x plus 5. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to first distribute the 3x. So 3x times 3x will be 9x squared. And by this time, you should already be comfortable with multiplying these. The same thing with the 3x times 5, which will be 15x, positive 15x. So that takes care of that. And we're going to do the same thing with negative 5. Negative 5 times 3x is negative 15x. And finally, we have negative 5 times positive 5, which will give you negative 25. So once again, what happens? Just the same thing as what we had before. When we collect these two, they're going to cancel each other out because they're opposites of each other. So you end up with 9x squared minus 25 as your answer. That is the only difference that we're going to experience with these. All right, moving along. So the next particular problem that we have here, it's very similar to the ones before, but now we have other variables. Same deal. It's just more parts that we have to multiply here. So we're going to distribute first the a. So a times a is a squared. And once again, if you want to highlight this or underline this, just like we did before, go ahead and do so. A times 6b, remember there's a 1 there, so 1 times 6 is 6. And a times b is ab. If you want to visually put the 1 there, that's fine. So that gets this already distributed. Now you're going to distribute the next term, negative 6b. Negative 6b times 1a. Once again, if you want to put the 1 right there, that's fine. So this will be negative 6. Now keep in mind, you're not going to put it as ba. You're going to put it in alphabetical order. So this will be negative 6ab. You could put it as ba, but eventually you're going to have to switch it around. So that takes care of this distribution. And now finally we're going to distribute negative 6b times positive 6b. So negative 6 times positive 6b is negative 36b squared. And if we take a look now, we're going to go ahead and these two are going to cancel each other out just like we had on our previous one. And we bring down the minus 36b squared. So that gives us our final answer right there. So once again, not much of a difference from what we had before. So let's take a look at another one, part 2, letter C. So this one is very similar to the ones that we just did on our previous section. 7x minus 3 squared. Once again, that is the same thing as saying 7x minus 3 times 7x minus 3. Now obviously this is not going to be the same as what we had for the previous ones because here it's the same thing. Over here they were similar but they had opposite signs. So do the distribution. First we're going to go ahead and distribute the 7x. 7x times 7x is 49x squared. 7x times negative 3 is negative 21x. And now we distribute the negative 3. Negative 3 times 7x is negative 21x as well. And negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. So we take a look at it again. We're going to go ahead and keep the 49x squared. And we could go ahead and collect these two. So this will be negative 42x. And we bring down the positive 9. And that would be your answer right there. So 49x squared minus 42x plus 9. All right, so quickly, the next one, it just has more variables to it. So this will be, once again, 3y minus 4xz times 3y minus 4xz. So once again, we distribute the 3y. So it'll be 3y times 3y. So this will be 9y squared. 3y times negative 4xz. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. And you're going to take it in alphabetical order. Remember, it's x, then the y, then the z. There was no other y here, so that's the way we're going to have to establish them. We're going to do the same thing here. Negative 4 times positive 3 is negative 12. And once again, put it in alphabetical order. We have xz times y, so it'll be x, y, z. And finally, I can't fit this last one here, but negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. And I'm going to squeeze it here. X times x is x squared. And z times z is z squared. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but eventually what's going to happen is that we're going to collect these two. So we're going to end up with 9y squared. Collect those two, so this will be negative 24 xyz. And this last one, positive 16x squared z squared, we're going to go ahead and put it here. All right, so that concludes 4.5. Do not worry about part 3 there. Once again, it's just more stuff that we have to multiply there. But this should be enough to get you through the labs. Once again, if you have any questions or any concerns, please email me or text me. Once again, check your Blackboard for announcements and any new work stuff that we have or videos. Thank you very much.